Hello and welcome to a new vlog and video in cooperation with ReiseJung. We're taking a look at the 5th day on board of the beautiful Porto Mirante on the River Douro in Portugal. In this video we are sailing from Pocinho, where we stayed overnight, to Pinhão, and from there we're having an excursion to the beautiful Mateus Palace. In the animation we can take a look at our sailing route today from Pocinho to Pinhão. We're starting in Pocinho and there we are directly heading into the lock of Pocinho, and then we're continuing on heading to the lock of Valera, the second highest lock of the River Douro. And then we're sailing through this narrow part of the river, past the tour with the dam, and then we're reaching Pinhão. And from there we're starting our excursion to the Mateus Palace, and then we are spending also the evening here in Pinhão. Pinhão is one of the bigger cities. There's still not much to do in the evening, but during the day there are quite a few possibilities. As always, I'm starting the day with a nice breakfast, with my obvious breakfast, and in the meantime we had already reached Ferradossa, the small village with a very low railway bridge, and just a few minutes later we're then reaching the lock of Valera. This is the second highest lock on the River Douro with a difference in altitude of 33 meters, which you can clearly see here. The look from the ship's bow looking down to the River Douro, and after going through the lock Valera, we're then meeting the oncoming ship, which was already waiting for us. That is one part where the river is wide enough to meet an oncoming ship, and then we're sailing into this very spectacular narrow part of the river, one of the most spectacular parts of the whole river, and we can now take a look at the passage of this narrow part in a time lapse, which also shows how narrow the river actually is here. Very, very beautiful part of the sailing on the River Douro. And after that we are reaching Tua, the village with the Foz Tua Dam, the 108 meters high dam damming up the River Tua. Here we can see the railway bridge, and behind that we can see the dam. Of course, this dam is very controversial. It was only built in 2017. There used to be a railway line which was already closed down, but now it's impossible to reactivate it as it is underwater now, and of course there are also a lot of ecological impacts, and therefore a dam project like this is always controversial. But we are now continuing through the beautiful Douro landscape to Pinhão, where we are arriving during lunchtime, and from there we're then heading to the Mateus Palace. We reached Pinhão, which is one of the bigger villages on the river, so for those guests who didn't book the excursion to the palace, there's still something to do there. Quite a few quintas. Those are the wine bars where you can try the local wines, but for us it's time to leave Pinhão with a bus. We're crossing the river Pinhão, and here we're crossing the River Douro, and we're now heading to Régua, which will also be our next stop with the ship, and from there we're taking the highway to Vila Real, where the palace is located. On our way to Régua, we are also going past Folgosa, which is the town where we had our first overnight stop. And from there we're then reaching Régua, and Régua we are crossing the River Douro again. And maybe you remember those three bridges right next to each other. They are here in Régua, and now we're using the middle one to get back to the other side of the River Douro, and then we're gaining a lot of altitude to reach the highway. And from the highway there are some fantastic views of the Portuguese landscape, but just a few minutes later we're leaving the highway again, as we are already approaching the Mateus Palace. And directly after entering the grounds of the palace you have the most beautiful view. Here you can see it. There is a small lake in front of the palace, and the water is mirroring the palace perfectly, so here you can already take the perfect picture. And then it's time to explore the gardens of the palace, which goes back to an estate which has been proven to be here in the year 1488, and in the year 1743 the current palace has been constructed. The Mateus Palace is also very famous for its beautiful garden. It's a green paradise, and that was the first place we visited. After a nice glass of wine in the associated wine bar, it was then time to explore the interiors of the palace, but unfortunately it was not allowed to film in there, so we cannot see it in this video. By the way, I didn't drink the famous Mateus Rosé wine, as it actually has nothing to do with this palace, just the picture of the palace and the name of the palace are used, but the wine is coming from a totally different area, and as it is a mass product that you can also buy in other countries, I would recommend trying a more local wine instead. We then took the bus back through the beautiful Pinhão Valley, and this was one of the most beautiful bus rides I ever had in my life, and I think you can clearly see why the landscape was just breathtaking. Here we are back in Pinhão, and now it's time to head back on board of our beautiful Porto Mirante, as it was already dinner time and our chef had a very nice surprise for us. As for today, the restaurant remained closed and instead we had a nice barbecue on the sun deck. That's working perfectly fine on the Porto Mirante, as the ship has a lot of proper tables in the rear part of the sun deck, and the crew prepared a very nice salad buffet in the Sky Lounge as well as a dessert buffet, and the main courses were freshly grilled directly on the sun deck. As we were docked in the shadow and there were some very nice temperatures, it was indeed a very nice evening and a very good surprise by our chef. After this fantastic barbecue, of course, we headed into the village of Pinhão. Even though Pinhão is a bit bigger than the other villages we stopped at night, it is still just a rather small village. There's a nice 5-star hotel, there are a few restaurants and a few bars, and of course a lot of quintas, but most of them were already closed when we headed into the city center. But still there are a few things worth seeing. For example, the nice hotel with palm trees in front of it, which looked very nice, and especially the station of Pinhão is a must-see, as there are a lot of those azulejos pictures. Maybe you remember the São Bento station in the beginning in Porto. There we also saw a lot of those azulejos pictures, and here we can see some more in Pinhão. With local pictures, you can see a panoramic view of Pinhão, you can see the work in the vineyards, all in this beautiful blue and white tiles, so it is a must to see the station of Pinhão. Then it was time to head back on board, as now, except for one sports bar, everything was already closed, so we had another nice and relaxing evening on the sun deck with very nice temperatures, and a beautiful day is coming to an end. Here you can see the name of the song. As always, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to comment, like, subscribe or share the video link, and hope to see you in my next video or maybe one day on board of one of our cruises. You can find more information on that on reisejung.de.